The last thing I remember thinking was, I should have bought more time. My name is Liam, and I'm 88 years old. I spent my whole life chasing money because I believed it could solve everything. But now I'm sitting here, realizing there was one thing it could never buy back. I wasn't always this old man staring at the walls of a quiet room. Once I was quick on my feet, sharp in my mind, and certain of my direction. I grew up in a small house where money was always tight, where my father counted coins at the kitchen table, and my mother stretched meals just enough so we never went to bed hungry. I remember watching them worry, and I made a promise to myself very early on that I would never live like that. I told myself I would earn enough so that fear would never touch me again. And for a long time, I thought I was doing the right thing. I worked harder than anyone around me. I stayed late when others went home. I took risks when others played safe. Slowly, the money started coming in. First, it was enough to move out of that small house, then enough to buy a better one, then another and another. Each step felt like progress. Each number in my account felt like proof that I had escaped the life I was so afraid of. But something else was happening at the same time, and I didn't notice it back then. I missed dinners. I missed birthdays. I missed quiet evenings that didn't seem important at the time. I told myself I would make it up later, that once things settled down, I would slow down and be present. But things never settled, and I never slowed down. I remember my wife sitting across from me one night, her voice calm but her eyes tired, asking me if I even wanted to be home anymore. I laughed it off. I told her everything I was doing was for us, for our future, for security. I believed that. I truly did. And maybe that's what made it worse. She stopped asking after a while. My children grew up in a house full of things, but often without me. I told myself they would understand one day, that they would see the life I built for them and feel grateful. But children don't measure love in houses or bank accounts. They measure it in time, in attention, in presence, and I wasn't there enough for any of that. Years passed the way they always do, quietly and without asking for permission. One day I looked around and realized my children were adults, living their own lives, speaking to me with a kind of polite distance that I didn't know how to close. My wife, she stayed, but something between us had changed in a way that couldn't be undone. And still I kept working. It had become who I was. The deals, the numbers, the constant movement forward. Stopping felt like losing, and I had spent my entire life running from that feeling. So I kept going, even when I didn't need to anymore, even when I had more than enough. Then one morning everything slowed down. I woke up and felt something was wrong. It wasn't pain at first, just a heaviness, like my body was trying to tell me something I had ignored for too long. The doctors ran their tests, spoke in careful voices, used words I didn't want to hear. They told me there were things money could treat and things it couldn't. They told me time was no longer something I could assume I had. I remember sitting there, listening, and thinking how strange it was. All those years, all that effort, all that chasing, and suddenly the only thing I wanted was a little more time. I offered to pay for the best care. I asked about every option, every possibility. I told them to spare no expense. It was almost automatic the way I spoke, like money was still the answer waiting to be used. But the truth was sitting right in front of me, quiet and unmovable. Money could make me comfortable. It could bring doctors into the room. It could buy machines, treatments, and quiet spaces. But it couldn't turn the clock back. It couldn't give me back the evenings I missed, or the conversations I rushed through, or the years I assumed would always be there waiting for me. That realization didn't come all at once. It came slowly, in small moments. It came when my daughter sat beside me, holding my hand, speaking gently like she was trying to make up for years we didn't spend together. It came when my son struggled to find the right words, like we were both strangers trying to reconnect too late. It came when my wife looked at me, not with anger, not even with sadness, but with a kind of quiet acceptance that hurt more than anything else. I started remembering things I hadn't thought about in years. The sound of laughter from another room while I sat working behind a closed door. The way my wife used to wait up for me and then eventually stopped. The small invitations I turned down because I believed I had more important things to do. None of those moments felt important at the time, but now they are the ones that matter the most. I used to think life was something you build, something you secure piece by piece until you're safe. I thought if I could just reach a certain number, a certain level, I would finally be able to relax and enjoy it all. But life doesn't wait for that moment. It happens quietly while you're busy planning for it. And if you're not careful, it passes you by without ever asking if you're ready. Now I sit in a room that is comfortable, quiet, and filled with everything I once thought I needed. And I would give all of it, every last bit, for one ordinary day from the past. A simple dinner, a long conversation, an evening where I wasn't in a hurry to be somewhere else. At 88, you start to see things clearly whether you want to or not. You see where you were right and, more importantly, where you were wrong. And the hardest part isn't knowing the truth. It's knowing there's no time left to live it differently. So if you're listening to me now, wherever you are in your life, don't make the mistake I made. Don't believe that the things you're postponing will always be there waiting. Don't trade your time for something that can never give it back. Because one day you might find yourself like me, sitting in a quiet room with more than enough money and not enough time to spend it where it truly mattered. And in that moment, you'll understand what I understand now. Money can buy many things, but it can't save you.